Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to Grimm to the Brim with me, Davy Mustardface, and my lovely co-host,
Kate Pianpot.
I hear there's these three stories that I've not heard before, and we're going to dissect them in some way.
Yeah, so the first one's about two sausages. It's called The Strange Feast. A blood sausage and a liver sausage had been friends for some time, and the blood sausage invited the liver sausage for a meal at her home. At dinner time, the liver sausage merrily set out for the blood sausage's house, but when she walked through the doorway, she saw all kinds of strange things. There were many steps, and on each of them she found something different. A broom and a shovel were fighting with each other, and there was a monkey with a big wound on his head, and more such things. The liver sausage was very frightened and upset by this. Nevertheless, she took heart, entered the room, and was welcomed in a friendly way by the blood sausage. The liver sausage began to inquire about the strange things on the stairs, but the blood sausage pretended not to hear her, or made it seem it was not worth talking about, or that she said something about the shovel and the broom, such as, "That was probably my maid gossiping with someone on the stairs," and she shifted the topic to something else. Then the blood sausage said she had to leave the room to go into the kitchen and look after the meal. She wanted to check that everything was in order and nothing had fallen into the ashes. The liver sausage began walking back and forth in the room and kept wondering about the strange things until someone appeared, I don't know who it was, and said, "Let me warn you, liver sausage, you're in a bloody murderous trap. You'd better get out of here quickly if you value your life." The liver sausage didn't have to think twice about this. She ran out the door as fast as she could, nor did she stop until she got out of the house and was in the middle of the street. Then she looked around and saw the blood sausage standing high up in the attic window with a long, long knife that was gleaming as though it had just been sharpened. The blood sausage threatened her with it and cried out, "If I had caught you, I would have had you." The end.
Something that struck me when I heard it was just the amount of, like, the way they're trying to deflect on these weird things on the stairs. Like, I was thinking, like, she pretended not to hear her. Like you've been hearing her fine the whole time. And then as soon as she mentions something like, "What's that going on with those stairs?" "I can't hear you, I'm sorry."
What are you talking about? A broom and a shovel? That was clearly my maid, and somebody else just gossiping on the stairs. What's the matter with you?
It was very upsetting to them. Like, you wouldn't be upset by it. You'd be curious about it. But she was, like, really upset by it.
Well, I guess you wouldn't be depressed if you saw a shovel and a brush fighting on the stairs. You'd probably be like, "What?"
You're seeing magical things happening in front of you. You know, I mean, fair enough, you'd want to ask about it, and it would be weird if someone was like, "I can't hear you, sorry, I don't know what you're talking about." It's probably several people in the house that weren't here before. The reason I'm inquiring is because there was a broom and a shovel. It wasn't people. If it was a maid on the stairs, then we wouldn't even be talking about it, you know.
She wouldn't have brought it up, would she? The sausage. She wouldn't have even brought it up. She'd have just been like, "Oh, there's your maid gossiping on the stairs again."
If she'd said, like, "What?" and then they went and had a look, even, that would have probably diffused the tension a bit.
If she dragged the other sausage, like, out into the hallway and she'd be like, "Look at this," and then, you know, they saw the broom and the brush fighting, like, fencing or something on the stairs.
Knife behind the back. That's weird. Look closer.
We're sausages, but this is weird. How did they meet? We need a prequel to this story. How would they be friends, though? It's not like a blood sausage and a liver sausage is ever going to be in the same packet.
Did they have packets in those days?
Maybe not, but you wouldn't just buy one blood sausage and one liver sausage, unless, like, there was a load of blood sausages and liver sausages and them two just got on better than anybody else.
No, because they were in different houses. They went and got a mortgage each. Maybe one was renting.
This is very true.
They wouldn't speak to a sausage. It would have come up.
Never had a tenant ring me and say, "I need some adaptations doing to my house because I'm a sausage.
You've not had that yet.
Could you please lower all the kitchen units and worktops? I can't reach."
But there's a lot goes into, like, getting to the point in your life where you've got a house. Maybe it was originally about two people.
What, and they just thought that, like, it was too violent for a children's story.
If they were actually carved up animal carcasses stuffed into sausage skins, that would be much more appropriate for children.
Do you think maybe it was a mistranslation? Do you think maybe it's the Grimms just were like, "It's a sausage. Are you sure it's a sausage?"
Just write sausage. We'll go with it.
So what is the moral of this story?
Don't trust anyone in your life.
Particularly blood sausages.
Like, they wrote some good stories, but this is one that's it's been bothering us. Like, just why did they write this one? And it ends very abruptly.
I know. Well, that's the thing. There's so many stories in this book where there is no ending. It's like, how? Well, I was just getting into it and everything, and then that's it.
It's like a Coen Brothers film, you know. They just give up and the camera just, like, pans to the floor, and that's the end of the film.
it said that they travelled around the world and like got stories from people. Like they travelled and they listened to folklore stories and things like that. Do you think maybe they like got really into these stories, like this little old lady that's telling them this story, and they're like, yeah, go on, and then she's like, I can't remember the rest, and they're like, well, we've written like 14 pages now. It's got to go in the book. What we guys, and then something. But rather than just go, oh, we haven't got a complete story, we'll not put it in. They put it in anyway and just went, we don't know the ending.
She got on a bus and left.
All the ones that don't have endings should just say, and she got on a bus and left.
Stop writing stories at the bus stop. You know, people will have to get buses. They'll prioritise that.
So we're not going to read the sensible stories like Rapunzel and Cinderella and things.
They're being done.
There's this other kind of weird one that I found called The Mother-in-Law, or straight away you know it's going to be horrific. Once there lived a king and a queen, and the queen had a terribly evil mother-in-law. One day the king went to war, and the old queen had her daughter-in-law locked up in a damp cellar along with her 2 little sons. After some time had passed, the mother-in-law said to herself, I'd really like to eat one of the children. So she called her cook and ordered him to go down into the cellar, take one of the little sons, slaughter him, and cook him. What kind of sauce would you like? Asked the cook. A brown one, said the old queen. The cook then went down into the cellar and said, Ah, your highness, the old queen wants me to slaughter and cook one of your sons this evening. The young queen was deeply distressed and said, Well, why don't we take a pig, cook it the way she wants, and say that it was my child? The cook did just that and served the pig in a brown sauce to the old queen, as though it were a child. Indeed, she ate it with great relish. Soon thereafter, the old queen thought, The child's meat tasted so tender, I think I'd like to have the second one as well. So she called the cook and ordered him to go down into the cellar and slaughter the second son. What kind of sauce should I cook him in? Oh, in a white one, said the old queen. The cook went down into the cellar and said, Ah, the old queen has ordered me now to slaughter your second little son and cook him too. Take a suckling pig, the young queen said, and cook it exactly as she likes it. The cook did just that and set it in front of the old queen in a white sauce, and she devoured it with even greater relish than before. Finally, the old queen thought, Now that the children are in my body, I'd like to eat the young queen as well. The old queen called the cook and ordered him to cook the young queen. And then that's the end, but there's a little bit that says, Fragment. The cook slaughters a doe the 3rd time. However, the young queen has trouble preventing her children from screaming. She doesn't want the old queen to hear them and realise they are still alive, and so on. And that's what we left with. That's it.
I don't think this old woman's got like great hearing. You know,
Or eyesight.
I'd have my doubts about her hearing. And I think if she did get suspicious, like, just kill her, you know. Well, the main thing is, like, the guy, he's like, okay, what sauce? Like, how many times has he killed for her or pretended to kill for her? I mean, it's implied that it's just kind of the first time because he's like, oh, there you are, Queen. I'm going to have to kill one of your children because I've been asked to. So that's going to happen. The Queen's like, no, I've got an idea. It's like a Crystal Maze challenge. Like, you know what? Just get one of these pigs and do that instead. He was just about to murder her child, which is a big deal for most people. She's like, I've just had this idea, actually. Thinking on my feet. Why don't we do something else other than that? Like, he's just already, like, he's just, I don't know if he's being lobotomized or what. He's just brainlessly like, yes, okay, sauce. Like, I like when people ask about sauce. I don't like to eat dry food. Like, this guy gets it.
Yeah, but he can't be that good a cook either, because he didn't even ask like what she meant when she was like a brown sauce. Like, do you mean like brown sauce, like just ordinary, you know, like HP brown sauce, or like gravy, or like maybe a really strong curry sauce?
Do you want a really strong curry sauce?
I mean, that would make it dark brown, right?
The human stomach is like, it's like the size of a fist, but it stretches a little bit if you eat. Okay, so even like logistically, this woman has eaten 2 pigs, which, you know, like full pigs. Now, one of them was a suckling pig, which I assume means small pig.
Like a piglet, yeah.
So that's still pretty big. That's a hog roast for a company picnic or barbecue.
Yeah.
Right? That's like 18 people would eat that and be like, oh, I'm full. You know.
Yeah.
And then she ate a whole full pig, I think.
Yeah.
Or were they both suckling pigs?
No, only the second one. The first one was just an ordinary pig.
So, like, pigs don't look a lot like humans either. Like, unless you're really not looking at what you're eating. I mean, are we assuming that there's just a person laid out on the table? It's in a sauce. Like, are they in a giant bowl? Like, why do they have such, like, is it in a giant, like a bath?
Maybe,
Or a trough or something?
maybe it's just a torso.
I think she'd be quite annoyed if you just brought her the torso. You'd want the head and you'd want an apple in the mouth, you know. And you'd recognize these people from your life. So you'd expect to see that. But she's just like, doesn't look like them, but it's in the sauce I asked for. It must be the right meal. And there's no one else here, so...
There's the brown sauce. Let's go for it.
She asks for colours and that's it.
Yeah.
Brown, red, green.
But why does the cook have to listen to her and not the queen? Because presumably the new queen, the young queen, is the most recent queen because she's married to the king, and the old queen is his mum. So then why does the new queen's authority not mean more than the old queen's? Why did he listen to the old queen?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, he didn't just listen to her. It's like he's a machine. Like, you've pressed a button on a machine and it just does it doesn't have a thought process. It's just like, okay.
Because he clearly didn't think, like, well, what is the king going to say when he comes back from war? He is going to be fucked off at me.
I won't mention it. What sauce? You want me to kill his wife as well? Okay. And do you want sauce with it? No, just dry. That's what it is, and that's why people don't trust their mother-in-laws.
Because of this.
If you listen to them even once, you find that at least one of your children will be dead. You know. If you even listen once, like, block them, block their number. Don't respond to emails. If you ever see them through the peephole of your house, just put the chain on, shut the blinds. You know what? I've lost 3 families now. I wish there was a story that could teach me to be a more sensible and discerning person.
I guess if you liked your mother-in-law to start with, that you probably don't after the Grimm story. You read it and you're just like, actually, now you mention it.
Let's get her put in a home. Put that knitting down. You'll kill someone with those needles.
I think you're right. And I like the Grimm's thinking with this one. Clearly a man wrote this story.
Like, let's not focus on the butler who's just like, I'll kill anyone like without a moment's hesitation. You know. He's a bit jolly about it as well. He goes downstairs and, there you are. Anyway, I'm going to kill one of your children now because I've been asked, like, I don't know, just been asked to, so...
I mean, back in those days, though, they did eat a lot of meat, didn't they? Not a lot of veg, just
They didn't
meat.
eat 3 people a day.
You don't know
like
that.
one person eating 3. I suppose we could test it with pigs. Like, if they had, like, a restaurant challenge or something. You eat 2 pigs plus... No, one large pig, 1 small pig, plus 1 deer with all the sauce you want. A beige sauce. It's like a mixture of the white and the brown
Beige.
sauce.
What would a beige sauce even be?
Beige sauce would be just Baileys, but like whisked. 2 pigs and a deer in Baileys. 50 quid.
I mean, it doesn't get any better, though, because it's something about pigs and people and slaughtering that they seem to love. Because, and to be fair, I'm not going to lie, I did just look through the contents, and I looked for the most interesting titles, and they don't even hold back with this one. It's just called How Some Children Played at Slaughtering.
No, they've not done another one about slaughtering animals, have they?
No. This isn't quite as bad as slaughtering animals. They're just slaughtering each other.
Oh, that sounds completely different to those other 2 stories.
So this one goes like this. In a city named Franeker, located in West Friesland, some young boys and girls between the ages of 5 and 6 happened to be playing with one another.
They're all between 5 and 6, like, specifically.
Yeah, so
Are we
5
all,
or
can
6.
I just check everyone? Are we all between... How old are you? We're all between 5 and 6. Okay, cool. Once you turn 6, you're either a good person or you're a straight-up serial killer.
They chose one boy to play a butcher, another boy was to be a cook, and a third boy was to be a pig. Then they selected one girl to be a cook and another girl to be her assistant. The assistant was to catch the blood of the pig in a little bowl so they could make sausages. As agreed, the butcher now fell upon the little boy playing the pig, threw him to the ground and slit his throat open with a knife, while the assistant cook caught the blood in her little bowl. A councilman was walking nearby and saw this wretched act. He immediately took the butcher boy with him and led him into the house of the mayor, who instantly summoned the entire council.
Just sitting there in his bling watching the telly. This is the house of the mayor. It's his actual house, you know, son.
They deliberated about this incident and didn't know what to do with the boy, for they realised it had all been part of a children's game. One of the councilmen, a wise old man, advised the chief judge to take a beautiful red apple in one hand. He was to call the boy and stretch out his hand to him. If the boy took the apple, he was to be set free.
It's got to be beautiful though, mind. You can't just have some shit apple. Are you feeling remorseful? I'm feeling very hungry for fruit.
The judge took the wise man's advice and the boy grabbed the apple with a laugh. Thus, he was set free without any punishment.
He sounds evil, this kid.
And then there's like a little footnote that says, there was once a father who slaughtered a pig, and his children saw that.
Let's fucking kill this pig. Like, they all stood there staring at you.
In the afternoon, when they began playing, one child said to the other, "You be the little pig, and I'll be the butcher." He then took a shiny knife and slit his little brother's throat. Their mother was upstairs in a room bathing another child, and when she heard the cries of her son, she immediately ran downstairs. Upon seeing what had happened, she took the knife out of her son's throat and was so enraged that she stabbed the heart of the other boy who'd been playing the butcher. Then she quickly ran back to the room to tend to her child in the bathtub, but while she'd been gone, he had drowned in the tub. Now the woman became so frightened and desperate that she wouldn't allow the neighbours to comfort her and finally hung herself. When her husband came back from the fields and saw everything, he became so despondent that he died soon thereafter, and they all lived happily ever after.
It's like one of those magazines that you see in like Tesco. Went out for some petrol, and when I come back, my whole family was dead. If they'd hung that first kid, I feel like this woman would have been fine. I've heard of this thing of dying of grief, but like, he just wasn't ready to have his whole family die in front of him.
He just went to the shops and he came back and it all went to shit.
If you're gonna die of any, like, from a reaction to anything, I guess that's it. But like, I like to think that no matter what happens, you don't just simply die. Have a tin of beans. Cold beans, man.
Sweet corn.
If he'd had sweet corn, I think he would have been fine. Although that would have probably pissed us off as well if he was sitting eating sweet corn at the end of the story. The husband ate a tin of sweet corn and went to bed. What was this called again, this podcast? Grimm to the brim. Grimm to the brim. Grimm to the brim to the brim.
I like that. Grimm to the brim.
Listen, I'd like to thank you all for listening to this podcast about the Grimm's fairy tales. Just have a listen to the next one as well, if there is another one. Thanks a lot for your time, and bye.